Hey, Miraj on LBC, 3 minutes past 2. Interesting piece in the Sunday Telegraph. Left-wing activists stage nationwide shoplifting spree. Left-wing activists, I don't know why they say left-wing, there could be any activists. Yeah, in fact, I'm not going to prejudge this. I'm just going to say activists. Activists have started a shoplifting spree across Britain in protest against billionaires hoarding wealth, inverted commas. Members of Take Back Power, which is viewed as the successor to Just Stop Oil, don't know if there's any link there at all, stole food from supermarkets in 4 cities yesterday morning and donated it to food banks. The activists claimed liberating produce from the branches of Sainsbury's, Morrison's and Tesco was, inverted commas, non-violent action to resist the super rich. Police have made no arrests, according to a spokesman for the activists. At 8:30 a.m, activists walked into supermarkets in Exeter in Devon, Truro in Cornwall, Didsbury in Manchester and Lewisham, South East London, and stole items. Video footage showed members of the group taking tinned tomatoes, jars of pasta sauce, pasta, stock cubes, rice, baked beans, tea bags and nappies from the shelves. They placed the items in cardboard boxes with signs which read, "These things are going to those who need them." Activists then walked out of the shops without paying for the items and placed them in a food bank collection baskets or gave them away to members of the public. Now, very interesting that this is happening. This group, Take Back Power, who we'll speak to in just a second. I just wanted to ask you this question, really, because it reminded me a little bit of Robin Hood in Sherwood Forest, didn't it? At least that's what sprung out to me. And I want to ask you this. Should Robin Hood shoplifters who give stolen goods to the poor be applauded? They're not nicking the stuff for themselves, are they? I mean, they're taking these goods and giving them to supposedly poor people, is what the philosophy is. So it's not just as simple as they're nicking stuff and, having a glass of claret themselves for their own edification. They're taking stuff that are staple goods. They're not taking Romeo and Julieta cigars here. I mean, they're taking pasta sauce, pasta, stock cubes, rice, baked beans, tea bags and nappies and giving it to people who they feel are in need. Should Robin Hood shoplifters who give stolen goods to the poor be applauded? 0345 6060 973, text 84850. Joining me is Ella Wilson, spokesperson for Take Back Power. Ella, thank you very much indeed for joining me. What is Take Back Power and what are its aims?
Thank you very much for having me on, Ali. I'd like to quickly first address the question of should we be applauded. My answer is no. We're just addressing a problem that our government cannot. Our government is meant to be doing, which is looking after ordinary people. We're just ordinary people seeing that these billionaire supermarkets, their owners are raking in millions, billions in profit. And at the same time, we have the record demands in food banks. This is what we're addressing here. We have 4 million kids growing up in poverty. For us, 1 kid going without food is enough. I personally want to live in a Britain where no kids are going hungry. And if people also agree with this, if they also want to give back to their communities, to go into these supermarkets, take back the food from the shelves and redistribute it, they should join us at takebackpower.net.
What are your... Thank you for outlining it so clearly, Ella. What is the ultimate aim? Because you're taking food here, but there's also as I understand it, one of your fundamental principles is to tax the super rich more. Is that right?
Yes, we want to tax the super rich. As, like I said, with the supermarkets, they are the ones raising the prices. They are the ones creating wealth inequality in this country. They are the reasons that some of your listeners cannot put food on the table in order to feed their kids.
Do you disagree with the concept of shoplifting?
I disagree with billionaires leeching from us day after setting these prices at unaffordable amounts, that people are having to go into these shops, walk past food because they cannot afford it, because they're having to choose, I'm not going to take this food today, I'm not going to be able to feed myself because I have to pay my rent. That is what I fundamentally disagree with.
Do you disagree with the concept of shoplifting?
Look, many people are actually having to shoplift in order to survive. I'm not going to harp on about them and how I think that it is potentially wrong if they take the food. I think that what is wrong is the fact that these prices are inaccessible.
But Ella, there's a difference between someone who's stealing a loaf of bread to feed their family and industrial level shoplifting that goes on all the time now by organised criminal gangs, and also shoplifting that goes on to buy a packet of fags, buy drugs, engage in organised criminality, all of these things. I mean, you're not endorsing criminality, are you?
Look, sometimes you have to break the law. You have to go against the status quo in order to get what you want. And what we need right now is to tax the rich. This is what we have to do. We are engaging in civil resistance.
Okay. So you have gone in, or your colleagues have gone into Tesco, Sainsbury's and Morrison's. There'll be a lot of people working in these institutions, as you'll know, who... Tesco employs 340,000 people, Sainsbury's 140,000 people, Morrison's 96,000 people. A lot of those people, Ella, would you agree would be on pretty low wages?
Yes, I would.
Right. So are you actually increasing or decreasing the chances of people on very low wages continuing to be employed by institutions that, if they lose money in this way, are less likely to hire more people rather than more likely to hire them? So you're basically harming the very kind of person that you are purporting to represent.
I would very much like to come back on that. If we want to talk about the employees, I would like to come back with a stat of my own. The CEO, Ken Murphy, is on 430 times the amount of his average worker. Do you think that's okay?
Please repeat your the comment again. Sorry, the line went a bit. Just please go again.
That's all right. CEO of Tesco, Ken Murphy, is on 430 times the amount of his average worker in Tesco. The same people that you were saying that we were harming. We're not harming. We're giving back to the communities. We're taking food off the shelves and we are giving them to the people who actually need to be able to eat. Some of these people will be working in Tesco.
So Ella, the point about CEO pay and multiples of CEO pay compared to the average worker, I think, is an important one to have. I've had it myself many times on the show before, and it does point to some fragility in the capitalist system. So I'm not saying that we should not have that debate, and it's certainly got a lot more stark, and it's not just a Tesco thing, by the way. This is across the board. Absolutely. In FTSE 100 and even beyond that companies, and you look at what's happening in the tech sector, it's absolutely crazy. So I'm not saying that the debate shouldn't be had. Absolutely, it could be had. But what I find slightly interesting is that people who, by all accounts, and I don't know what your personal disposable income is, Ella, but I'm sure that some of the people who are going and emptying out the shelves in these supermarkets could actually go and buy the stuff themselves and go and give it to the local food bank. Why aren't they paying for it? Why has Take Back Power independently decided that it is virtuous to go and steal stuff from these shops, which is going to harm the very workers that they're trying to represent, rather than buying this stuff and donating it like any other charity would?
Look, we're not harming the workers. We are ordinary people. I myself, you said you're not sure about my expendable income. I have worked in and out of hospitality since I was 17 years old. I know what it is like.
But Ella, why do you
my managers for more hours because I can't afford
Ella,
my rent.
Why do you want to ruin your career with a criminal record? Why do you want to do that?
Look, I don't want to do that. This is not about wanting to do.
But you should
being forced to do something by a government that does not.
But Ella, you should. But Ella,
does not care for your listeners.
Okay, but Ella, you should go to prison for this, shouldn't you? If you've done this, you should, shouldn't you?
Look.
No, but you should, right? Because
I don't think so at all. I think levelling of the scales. I think the people that should be going to prison are the billionaires, are the people leeching from our company, from the ordinary people.
Okay, let me put this to you. do you think that the current capitalist system is completely broken?
Look, Britain is broken.
Okay.
I think that many people agree about this.
Okay. So, I understand. I understand your point, but let me ask you this. So you've taken goods from supermarkets. Supermarkets do have a reasonable amount of power because there are quite a few big ones out there, but this is not a monopolistic environment, right? It's not even necessarily oligopolistic. I mean, there's an element of it because there are a few big providers, Tesco, Morrison, Sainsbury's, Asda, and the rest, but they are controlled and regulated by the Competition and Markets Authority to ensure that there's not price gouging. Now, the thing is, if it was a natural monopoly like a water company or a gas company or something, then the government would step in to regulate. You are basically saying that you are independently going and deciding in a capitalist free market system what is acceptable profit to be earned by a private company because you say so. How can that be acceptable?
Look, it's not acceptable. What is not acceptable here is that they are raising their prices. I've got a mate that works in Tesco's. They're saying that each day they're getting like 10 new prices to up every single day. Also, like, we want to talk, like, you're talking about like these facts and statistics and stuff. I want to talk about the material reality of your listeners, of the people in the UK who are going into these supermarkets and seeing each day, oh, the price of beans is up, the price of the pasta, everything is just getting worse and worse and worse.
Yeah, and there are many reasons for that. And a lot of people out there would, if they care about these issues, go and raise money for charity and go and give it to the food bank and do it that way rather than nicking stuff.
Look, we keep trying these methods, though. The food banks are absolutely incredible. However, they are there to address a need. So what we need to do is we need to take back power, take back the food, join in on civil resistance in order to actually address what is happening, which is wealth inequality, which is the gouging of everyday people by billionaires. That is why people should join us at takebackpower.net to address the actual issue that is going on here, that is creating the need for food banks in the first place.
Ella, you know, we've only just met. You seem like a perfectly decent, dignified, and rather pleasant person, to be honest. I really genuinely hope that this doesn't ruin your career. Genuinely. And I think that, frankly, anyone who does steal and who wants to steal, however much for a good cause it may be, and in this case, I accept that your desire is virtuous. If we have a situation where everyone engages in actions based on their own perception of virtue, we have a thing which we call anarchy, right? It descends into complete chaos because my version of virtuosity may be different to yours, and we have to live by rules. Otherwise, if we're seeking a society...
I don't want to live by these rules anymore.
Yeah,
I'm fed up of the rules that allow people to go hungry. How are you accepting the current system that we live under? How are you accepting the 4 million children who are hungry?
Ella, I'm not accepting it. But some people would say, go and lobby the government, for heaven's sake, to go and change it. Otherwise, go and live in North Korea. We live in a capitalist system.
Also, not everyone's able to just fly off to North Korea.
Why not?
That's what the billionaires
Kim Jong-un will have you tomorrow.
Because we can't afford to feed our kids. That's why we can't go to North Korea.
I'd love to parade you as a defector from the West to probably the most true communist society in the world right now. Even China has got communism, socialism with Chinese characteristics. Even them embrace the capitalist.
About these other countries. I want to talk about Britain. I want to talk about how it is broken and how our government has failed us yet again, failed to put food on the table for 4 million children. How many times do I have to say that?
Okay, what are you going to take to read in prison, Ella?
There's a few things, but I think that anyone listening should join takebackpower.net.
All right.
There's a few things that people can read on there, how to get involved.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. Ella Wilson there, spokesperson for Take Back Power.